Blog Talk Radio.
Girl George and the Dragons Radio Show. Today we have my old friend, the world famous tattoo artist, Lyle Tuttle. Hi, Lyle. What you doing?
Well, I'm sitting in a parking lot in a Denny's in a Wi-Fi zone. I'm on my way to Frisco and from Ukiah, and pulled over here to do your show.
Town, Sonoma.
No, it's in Petaluma. It's at Penn Grove turnoff there.
Oh, so you're almost here. So you're tattooing again, right? I thought you only tattooed your name on people, and now you're doing tattoos, right?
Well, yeah, at special occasions and things that strike my my interest. Yeah.
Well, that girl you're going to do is really pretty. She looks like a little angel. I met her at your party, and she.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know her name, but her skin is so white. She looks like you can see through her. She's so pretty, so angel.
That's the tall blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the girl that's the lady, she's 45. That is the leading seaman or the shop manager. Her name is Madeline, and Madeline Bluebird.
Yes.
And I think of her as a gypsy queen.
So you're going to tattoo that blonde girl?
Hair.
You're going to tattoo that blonde girl?
Tattoo that blonde girl, yeah.
What you going to tattoo on her?
Well, it's really funny because she goes to the Art Institute up here, right up on the hill from my shop there in San Francisco, because my shop is at Columbus and Lombard. And so she takes some kind of I'm going to say, esoteric photography course, but she's taken some type of a photography course. She's a model. And so she's allowing, through the year, she's got to know everybody in the class, so she's allowing the class to pick out the tattoo that she's going to get. And they're coughing up the money, and so there's a budget, and I guess I can't really divulge what they're requesting for the because it might impact her because she's going to be tattooed.
And they're going to film it? They're going to film this whole thing?
Yeah, they're going to film it, and the class is going to be there. And
Great.
She's going to be blindfolded, and she's not going to know what she gets on her until it's all over with. Then the blindfold comes off, and she'll see it.
Cool. I want to be there. Can I be there?
I don't know why you can't. Have to get in touch with you.
Are you going to do it at the shop there?
Going to do it at the shop in the city. Other than that, I told people that, that to me, tattoos aren't, they're a tattoo is something that can be done in an artful sense, of course. But tattoos are stickers on your luggage. You travel the world and you get stickers on your luggage, and you keep adding to them and everything else. And there was, way back eons ago, there was, in reading anthropology books and everything, there were some primitive societies, or let's say pre-Christian societies. We went back into a primitive era when they invented Christianity, but they felt that your tattoos stood in testimony of who you are, and if you pass through the curtain of death and you're mute, that your tattoos will stand in testimony of who and what you were in life. That's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, I only got one tattoo. That's that one on my butt that you put on. It's got your name on it. It's the first time you ever put your name on.
I think that's the first autograph I ever signed on anybody. How many years ago was that?
That was 1971, and you've done probably 1,000 or 2,000 since, right?
Yeah, yeah. You know, God, now it's going to be hard for me to run around telling girls that I'm 39 when...
Yeah. I'm 70. You couldn't be 39. I've known you for 53 years. I've known you since 1961.
1961, wow.
Uh-huh. I was on your cards. You asked me to pose for you, and you wrote across my back, "Tattooing by Lyle Tuttle" in ink, and you were over me with the needle as if that was a tattoo. So everyone thought, what did he write his name on a girl's back for? And for years you used to say, oh, one of these days I'm just going to scribble my name all over your butt. You know, every time you see me, you say that. And so when I finally got around to it, when I came back from Nashville and New York, and I was all crazy, and we were all on acid, I said, I want a tattoo. He said, what do you want? I said, a dragon. He said, you can't have a dragon. Girls don't have dragons. I said, I want a dragon. So he went out with hot tuna and went to a concert at 2 o'clock in the morning. I says, we better do it tonight. I'm going to chicken out by tomorrow morning. So we all went back to the studio, and you said, what do you want? I said, a dragon. So he drew it with an ink pen on my butt. And I looked in the mirror. I said, put some wings on it. Looks like a worm. So he put a couple wings on it, and he said, how's that? I said, fine. And so he hit me with a needle. I started screaming and yelling and jumping around, and all the guys jumped on top of me. Hot Tuna and all the bands jumped on top of me, held me down, and you guys were all laughing your asses off. And then you guys were calling me a pussy for a week after that. And so later we were at a Hot Tuna concert, and somebody passed us a joint, and it was angel dust. And you were eating popcorn. You barfed all over me, all this popcorn coming out all over me. And
barfed your boot full of popcorn.
Yeah, I had these pirate boots.
And then you walked around all night with them on there, and then the next day we had to get your leg up in the air and get a clothes hanger or something, get that popcorn out there to get your boot off, because you didn't want it cut off. So the next day
I said, oh, you should autograph my tattoo, you know. And I said, all artwork should be autographed. So you said, okay. So this time when you autographed it, I did not move because all you guys were calling me a pussy for jumping and screaming and yelling so much. So I held real steel for that.
Well, you know, it's Scorpios, and you're a Scorpio, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm a Scorpio. Signs. You got a Scorpio rising.
Huh?
You've got a Scorpio rising. You even wrote it on there. You got a Libra and Scorpio sign under your name.
Oh, well, I got a Libra sign on my logo signature.
Well, you put Libra and Scorpio because you're rising Scorpio.
Well, you know, what do you call it? Scorpio is sort of a sexual-oriented sign.
Duh.
Generally, Scorpio women love to get tattooed, because I know I went out one time to the Janus Society and delivered a talk out there. You familiar with the Janus Society?
What's that?
It's an organization that's into S&M. And
I'm not into that.
I'm into M&Ms myself. Rough sex to me is butterfly kisses. But anyhow, I went out there and I tattooed. I delivered a talk, and then, in fact, the next day, Herb Cain had me calling that Lyle Tuttle went out to give a talk at the Janus Society last night, thinking it was a Janis Joplin fan club. That Herb Cain was the greatest columnist in the world. He's dearly missed, that guy. He could come up with more scoop. Find out about me going out to that Janus Society the night before. That's pretty wild. Anyhow,
everybody always wants to hear you talk about Janis Joplin. Whenever I mention Lyle Tuttle, they say, "Oh, what about Janis Joplin?"
Well, Janis, she was a good soul. I only knew her the last year of her life, and so anyhow, she helped me develop another astrological impression was that, you know, Capricorn women are the ball busters of the universe. And well, they're positive, they're strong, they're money makers, they're, you know, and but they don't like to get tattooed. Where Scorpio women do. And in that Janus Society that night, I tattooed 2 women, and one was a dominatrix, and she had her leather on, and she had her big whip and the spiked high heels, and she was a Capricorn. And then the other person I tattooed was a little submissive, and she a Scorpio. And so I tattooed her I don't know which one was first now, but that was a long time ago. But anyhow, when I tattooed the little submissive, she just sort of like pushed up against it and just sort of hummed. She liked it. And I've tattooed that Capricorn dominatrix, and she got lightheaded. Well, if somebody gets lightheaded, it means that they've cut off the blood supply to their stomachs or something. And so if you take a person that you're tattooing and they get some wee mite dizzy, and it happens a lot of times if they haven't eaten, you just put their head between your legs, I slide my chair back and just put their head lower than their heart. And I haven't slid back very far, so it's, their head's like down between my knees. Well, when I slid that chair back and pushed that dominatrix's head down between my knees, she woke up immediately. Well, she didn't take that. But she was a Capricorn too, and so that's about the only 2 astrological observations that I can make. But I'm sure there's a lot more that's out there. But I think probably. Well, I feel like a Libra because I feel well balanced and sort of hum along at a nice pace.
You're very Libra. You're very Libra. And how about the Rolling Stone magazine? How about it's Christmas coming up? You were on their Christmas card.
Yeah,
that naked Christmas card.
Yeah, but I was on their Christmas card, and then I was on the cover.
Cool. On the cover of the Rolling Stone.
That was a plus because I've been on the cover of Rolling Stone, and then Captain Hook had a monster hit out. It was I want to be on the cover of Rolling Stone, and if you was riding in your car, you heard it on the radio every 5 minutes.
Well, that was the band that I toured with, Lyle. That's the band I toured with, Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show.
Did he wind up making it on the cover of Rolling Stone?
Yeah, they did.
Well, good for him.
It was Shel Silverstein that wrote that song for him. Shel wrote most of the early songs.
Is that right?
For him. Yeah, Shel wrote that.
I used to take it in the cross trade notes with Shel Silverstein. I lived in Sausalito up above Gate 5, and he used to catch the bus into San Francisco. And so did I, and so I used to walk down the hill from my house and catch the bus, the tightwad that I am, and, I have to pay for parking on that bus.
Yeah.
And actually wound up being faster most of the time. But anyhow, we'd cross trails because he lived there at Gate 5.
You tattooed Joan Baez too, didn't you? Joan Baez and sure you did. I've read you did.
Jesus Christ and Adolf Hitler. I tattooed a lot of biggies.
The guy in Easy Rider, you did him too. What was his name? Fonda. The guy
Peter Fonda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Peter Fonda we was in a movie, and it was we were in a documentary film, and it was called Signatures of the Soul. So he wound up narrating the film, and I was interviewed in the film. In fact, it proved out to me that the film crew, they were a New Zealand film crew, and it's called Signatures of the Soul. It's a very good documentary on television, or on tattooing. So anyhow, Peter Fonda, he's telling about his tattoos, and he had an affinity for the number 3. And so I put 3 seagulls on his shoulder, And then he had 3 stars that was on the lower part of his arm that a fellow by the name of Cliff Raven was in. He bought my Hollywood tattoo shop, but I've tattooed Peter Fonda down in the Hollywood tattoo shop. It was funny because Peter got him mixed up, and he was saying about the tattoo that I put on his arm, and I wasn't there when they filmed it, but is he still alive?
Who, Peter Fonda? Yeah, I think so. I would have heard if he died. Okay. I'm pretty sure he's still alive.
Because
he's younger than me, I think.
It's hard to keep up when you. Well, I'm 83 now.
Yeah.
And right.
We've outlived them all.
Well, that's because I live such a good, clean, pure life.
Yeah, I had the comic Bobby Slayton on my show last week, and he was telling me about the tattoo he got when he was probably about 23. He went in your shop, and he just picked one off the wall, and it was that tongue of the Rolling Stones, his shoulder. He said it cost him $10.
Well, and how old? Let's see. Some years ago.
That was probably 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, there's such a thing as inflation, or it's crazy because like in my studio now, there's an $80 minimum, but you have to realize that we have to go through hospital type sterilization.
And the rent there in San Francisco must be outrageous.
Yeah, well, fortunately, I own that building, but
taxes.
One of my here's a good illustration of inflation. In 1977, I bought that building there at Columbus and Lombard for $150,000.
Wow, that's cheap. It's worth millions now.
Yeah, but when the Asian invasion happened a few years ago, when Hong Kong was going to revert back and go back to mainland China, and the British was bowing out. I guess slightly called the Asian invasion, they was rushing out of Hong Kong, the Chinese, and Chinese are very hard and save their money and everything, and I turned down close to $2 million for that building.
Wow. No, it's a good thing you kept it. It's a good spot. It's a good spot for your museum. Nobody's going to go up to Eureka. But they are going to go down to Norris Beach and Fisherman's Wharf, which is perfect spot for it,
Well, it is, and my building is not big enough for my museum because it's going to take too much of the amount of stuff that I've got, and if it was framed and displayed like they display things in museums as a piece of art about every 20 feet, I could fill up the Louvre. Because I've got around 7,000 sheets of hand-drawn designs and over 1,100 tattoo machines. That's the electrical apparatus that puts tattoos on. I have one of the first ones that was ever designed. And, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. So I was a grizzly in the tattoo collecting business. Of course, I cheated, though, because I started many, many years ago.
So what you could do is buy a warehouse in the cheap district. Probably West Oakland's probably the cheapest you're going to find nowadays. That will hold something real big. Buy that old train depot in Oakland and running no more, and put the bulk of it there, but then put the prime stuff at the San Francisco place, and then bus them over.
Well, this is sort of one of the basic ideas right now. Is that I've got a general display in there now in the public area, and. So what I'm trying to do is create some interest, but I was raised in Ukiah, California, which is 120 miles north of San Francisco, and there's not a museum in the world that supports itself through admissions. So I was raised in Ukiah, and some of the guys that I went to school with did very well for themselves. And plus I have the support of the city. Due to the fact that was raised there and everything else. I always jokingly say that I'm Ukiah's leading citizen now since Jim Jones, who had a church outside of town, went to Guyana. But but anyhow, it's only 120 miles. We might even have tours. We might have a tour bus that goes up there every day or something. I don't know. If they walk through the door, you'll know they want to be there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But, do what you want.
There's a car sitting on each side of me, and I'm sitting here in my car, and I've got hearing aids now. And so they've got, they're called hearing instruments, excuse me. And then I have a thing that hangs around my neck, which is a Bluetooth. So I push a button on it when the phone rings, and it directs the phone call through my hearing aids. Well, I'm sitting here in the van, and these people are looking at me like I'm nuts because I'm sitting in this car talking to myself.
Yeah, but they should be used to that nowadays. Everybody's doing that nowadays. They got things hooked to their ears. It looks like some science fiction movie. They're walking around the street talking to themselves, yelling and screaming. They're used to it.
When I went back to San Francisco to start remodeling that shop about a year ago, I was, after living, I traveled the world, but I never go out running around big cities or anything. In fact, I don't really care for big cities anymore. And so I was about 4 blocks away from Columbus Avenue, and it was in tall apartment buildings and things over there in North Beach. And here was some guy finally found a parking place. I parked, locked my car up. I'm walking back towards Columbus Avenue, and here comes some clown out of a building, and he's screaming, and he's waving his arm around and everything else. And it was sort of dark, and there wasn't anybody around, so I sort of speeded up and made it to Columbus Avenue, because if I'm going to do combat, I want to do it at least in a lighted situation. And I went down there, and there's a bunch of people walking up down Columbus Avenue, and this SOB was talking, having an argument with his girlfriend on his cell phone. And he had like a Bluetooth in his ear or something, and he's waving his arms. I thought he was, I've been around big cities a lot in my life, and, there's a bunch of whack cases around, and I thought, here's the whack. But he was having a little titter-tate with his girlfriend.
How do you like our new bridge? I came across it. That's the first time I've crossed that bridge because I don't go to San Francisco much. I'm mostly in Berkeley, and I went over there. I parked like next door to you. I drove up, and there was a parking place right next door to your building, so I lucked out. Same thing at Tommy's. I found a place in the next block. I was lucky. I couldn't find one in North Beach, so I didn't go to Upper
So you went over to Tommy's at 8?
Yeah, I had it for so many times. But that bridge is amazing. Have you seen it, the new bridge?
I've been over it, I think, once or twice.
It was beautiful. It's huge. It's 5 lanes going each way.
Some things I don't like about it.
I like it's nice and big. It used to be skinny and little, and there'd be 2 lanes going each way, and there would be so little you think you're going to hit the other cars. I remember years ago.
It's true.
When they had trains underneath of it.
Well, they used to have trains and trucks on the lower level because there was 2 railroad tracks, 2 trains going in each direction, and then they
they don't let trucks across that bridge anymore.
They don't?
No, you have to go across one of the other bridges, San Rafael Bridge, or the one down by Hayward. You can't go across Bay Bridge on a truck. I think you have to go to Hayward, that flat bridge, if you want to go across.
Okay, well,
they don't want them tearing it up. Those big trucks, are just kind of too big to deal with.
I thought that they was a little bit premature because, that old bridge between Yerba Buena Island and Oakland, it was a pretty sturdy bridge because back 30 years ago or so, a jet fighter that was taken off from Alameda Airport hit that bridge.
Yeah, but it fell down during the earthquake. Didn't you hear about it falling down the earthquake? Mike Wilhelm, the guitar player with Charlatans, he was on the bridge on a motorcycle when that thing collapsed right in front of him. He was on the bottom deck, and it collapsed, and he turned his motorcycle around and went back towards San Francisco, and everyone was trying to grab his motorcycle, because they were all scared trying to run off because they thought the whole thing was going to fall, and so he just hit the gas and speeded back.
That was on a Sunday morning, and I was on my way to the Alameda Flea Market that morning.
For the earthquake, I was in L.A., and we had our own earthquake
not the earthquake,
there.
When the airplane hit.
Oh, the airplane hit. When was that? What year was that?
I don't know, but it was, 30, 35, 40 years ago, something a long time ago. And another time, talking about the Bay Bridge, I was on between Yerba Buena Island and San Francisco one night. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and there was a countdown, and they was setting off an atomic bomb in Las Vegas. Outside of Las Vegas?
Yeah.
And
I remember.
The disc jockey was saying, "Look to the boom, ba-boom, ba-boom," and I was looking down there, and you could see the flash of that bomb when it went off.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
That far away.
Yeah, right, wow. So I've been around San Francisco a long, long time, and there's I don't know, I think they took that, there was an interview, there's a website or something called Bold Italics, and I did an interview with them a few weeks ago, and I said a couple of things on there. I think they took it off in about 2 days.
No, it's still up there. I have it on my page, so if you want to see it, it's on my page. You should get on Facebook, because that's where everything's at. I can get around all over the place on Facebook, but if you're not on Facebook, you can't get a hold of anybody.
I made a joke up about Facebook.
I know
that I was going to start a website called I'llSetOnYourFacebook.com.
I really got in this nice little conversation. Everybody's got to go to your museum and your tattoo shop on Columbus. What's the address again?
It's 841 Columbus Avenue. And
it's called the Bluebird Tattoo Shop now?
It's Lyle Tuttle Tattooing. And my associate's name is Madeline Bluebird, and she's a dynamite tattoo artist, very creative. I mean, she just dedicates her whole life to tattooing.
Great.
And, so we're going to have some more. There's going to be a fellow by the name of Thomas Asher.
Yes.
He'll be doing some guest spots there. He's one of the, I won't say the best known tattoo artist, because he's been tattooing quite a few years, but I don't know who the best known is anymore or anything like that, but Thomas Asher, and he's a crackerjack tattoo artist, and he's going to be doing some guest spots there, and Clay Decker and James Clayton, and there's going to be a lot of great artists in and out of there. And if
okay, great talking to you, Lyle.
Expensive souvenir, have them look me up.
Okay, this is the Girl George and the Dragons Radio Show saying, see you later, alligator.